Okay, well, everybody, welcome to another segment of the Real Mike Pittman Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Pittman, and joining me on the show today is a gentleman that I had the pleasure of meeting about a year ago, and we kind of kept in touch, and I had an opportunity to hear him speak. And he has a very good message, which I felt would be beneficial to those that are out there that wanted to that are serious about their health and the things that they eat. And I just felt it would be good to bring this gentleman on. I have none other than the Minister of Wellness on the show tonight, and I am going to yield the floor to him to let him tell you all a little bit about himself, and we got plenty of questions for him. So, Minister, you got the floor.
Yes, sir. Well, it's a pleasure to be here, Brother Mike. It was an honor to meet you. I'll never forget last year, and time goes by so fast, and I'll never forget how you came in at the very end and you happened to catch the live stream, and it touched your heart so much that you came and heard the message. And so, yes, I was glad that it really inspired you. So I am born and raised in St. Louis, Missouri, by a hellfire brimstone preacher, the late great Pastor Eddie Jordan Jr. May he rest in peace. And my story revolves around him because my father, very religious man, very devout Christian. However, I always tell people, my daddy, he said he gave up cigarettes for Jesus, gambling for Jesus, womanizing for Jesus, alcohol for Jesus, cussing for Jesus, but he couldn't get in pork chops up for Jesus. And so he ended up, unfortunately, Brother Mike, I witnessed my father suffer 9 strokes over the last 7 years of his life. He became a vegetable, just a horrific. I just saw, and that really traumatized my entire family. And not only him, but all of my uncles, his brothers, they literally were dropping like flies. So I started doing some research in the Bible about why would this happen to the most devout man of God that I've known. And I learned what the Lord revealed to me through the scriptures is that we have made food an idol of the heart. And so I was a police officer at the time. I ended up losing 100 pounds myself, reverse heart disease at the time. And then in 2015, I accepted a spiritual ordination as the Minister of Wellness. And since that time, I have done nothing else with my life except wake up every day with a mission to heal our people. That God he has a way, he has his food. Satan has his food. God has his way of healing. Satan has his way of healing. And we have confused the two, and we are paying a terrible cost as a result. So I am the founder of the only, bar none, Bible-based healing ministry in the world that teaches that we must, as a part of our spiritual walk with the Lord, we must eat to live. That is a critical part of our spiritual journey. And I'm the founder of such a ministry. And at this point, now we've been blessed to spread internationally. So that's a basic background of who I am and why I do what I do.
Yeah. And you talked about the epiphany, actually, when your father had the number of strokes. And then, so that's basically when you started looking at your own self in terms of basically saying, I don't want to wind up like my father, basically.
Yes.
And so you say you lost 100 pounds. Walk us through what that process looked like for you in terms of the foods that you ate and what you did initially to lose 100 pounds.
Yeah, I was on the I was doing the thing that so many men fall in the trap of doing. I wanted to be as big as possible, as strong as possible. And so I thought that I had to do that by gorging myself on animal flesh. So I was a heavy meat eater. So I mean, the bacon, cheeseburger, everything. And then I would lift a lot of weight. So yes, I got up to 260. Now in the Marines, I was in the Marines coming out of high school. And in the Marines, I was a lean, mean 165. But on the police department, I ended up getting up to 260. And I was already having issues with blood pressure, enlarged heart, cardiovascular disease runs strong in my family. But when I came into the knowledge of the truth, I dropped that weight through getting back in the gym. At that time, I went on more of a caloric restriction eating style. But what I found was that it wasn't until I completely eliminated the animal flesh that my cholesterol went all the way down, my triglycerides, my slightly enlarged heart went back to normal size. It wasn't until I made that change that complete healing took place in my body. And that has continued. Now I'm actually in the midst of another incredible testimonial because unfortunately, I found out, Brother Mike, after years of maintaining a very small weight, eating strictly a whole food, plant-based eating style, I discovered what's called vegan junk food. And so I got addicted to vegan junk food. And last year, which was a very challenging year for me, I've confessed on my platform that I actually got back up to 234 as a strict vegan. And so now this whole month, we've actually been fruit fasting this entire month. The Lord told me to help people kick off the so-called New Year with a fruit fast. And so this is day 19 for us. And so I've lost, over 20 pounds. So I'm working my way back down. But yes, as a strict vegan, I have a testimonial, to the dangers of going all the way over into that route of picking up 70 of those 100 pounds that I lost. Something I thought I could never do, being off of animal flesh, because I'm that type of brother that I'm sure you can relate, brother. When I say meat eater, I'm talking about a whole bucket of fried chicken. I'm talking about, I used to do them triple whoppers, So, that's the type of meat eater I'm talking about, a hardcore like my daddy was. And so I never thought that completely changing that and going. So I learned a powerful lesson. This really taught me that we really have to stick with what God has created in nature, not what man has created. What did God create for us to eat? And those are the foods that grow from the soil. So you have your fruits that are the most powerful, according to Genesis 1:29. Then you have your other vegetables, your greens, beans, onions, mushrooms, and seeds. And those are the foods. Whole food, plant-based is what we have to stick with. So yes, so I'm in the midst of my second testimonial. So I'll have a testimonial that I lost 100 pounds getting off animal flesh and dairy. I did that. And then I'll have a second testimonial that I gained and lost 70 pounds eating nothing but vegan junk.
And that's interesting when you say vegan junk, because there are so many people, and I was one of them as well, that thought that, okay, well, I'm not eating meat. I'm a vegetarian, but yet I still found myself to be heavy as a vegetarian. And, I was buying veggie burgers thinking that I was doing something good, which is basically processed food.
Yeah.
And I was, eating a lot of veggie burgers, eating a lot of oil, olive oil, which I thought was, olive oil is good. Then I had a gourmet popcorn business, for a number of years, and I'm sure that didn't help as well. Eating a lot of popcorn and stuff. But, I had been a vegetarian for 23 years and just always felt that, okay, man, I'm doing okay. But then I had an epiphany. I was like, man, I am 246 pounds. been a vegetarian for 23 years. So I turned the heat up, and one of the major culprits for me was sugar. Sugar is basically like crack.
Yes.
Very addictive, causes inflammation,
Yes.
causes you to gain weight. So I basically stopped eating sugar, white flour, and went strictly vegetarian, dropped 53 pounds.
Wow.
And I'll be coming up on 65 years old. So
Yes.
so I get it. And, the message that you're spreading as well is really good. Now, talk to us about the foods that, when you say that we should and should not eat, and basically anything that comes out of the ground, but in terms of how it's prepared, in terms of our vegetables, should we eat them raw? Should we cook them? What about our fruit? Should we eat them? Should we juice them?
Yeah, and brother, what's interesting, and congratulations on your weight loss, because I noticed something was different about you. So that's good. And of course, when you saw me last year, I was, much leaner. I was at 183 pounds. So that tells you the type of year, that I had. So we are the only species that God created that cooks food. We're the only ones. It's amazing. And when you go out in nature, which a lot of us are disconnected from nature, which isn't good. So I encourage everyone to get away in God's nature, into his presence. There's a scripture that speaks of his marvelous works, the wondrous works of his hand, his nature. You'll notice, Brother Mike, squirrels don't bake their acorns. The giraffe doesn't turn his leaves into a salad and pour salad dressing on it. The lion doesn't put his gazelle flesh on a grill and add barbecue sauce. You'll notice that every species, and we're talking about millions of species that God created, none of them cook except us. We're the only ones. And so that comes with a cost. And the cost is that as soon as you light fire to the fruit of the vegetable, you're losing a tremendous amount of nourishment. Are you losing all of them? No, of course not. This is just something God gave us the ability to do. We've been doing it for thousands of years. But what you'll find is that if you have the discipline to go on a mostly raw, or at least a raw style of eating your fruits and your vegetables, you will witness an incredible amount of extra energy. You will witness an extraordinary amount of healing and vitality and youthfulness will come on you when you do that. And when you understand the difference between the effects that fruits have on our body versus true vegetables, then you really take it to the next level. Because, brother, what I found out was that if we had no ability, Brother Mike, with our physiological makeup, if we had no ability to create tools, no ability to have ovens or technology, you took that away from us. We're like any other animal. We are reduced to only eating what we can with our bare hands and with our physical structure. What would we be able to eat that we could eat? No tools now. You can't do nothing. You only can eat what your hands can pick up and put in your mouth. It will be fruit. And that's what will be sweet to us. And if you go on a raw fruit-based eating style, then it really takes the healing to the next level, which is what we're witnessing so far on day 19 of our fruit fast. We have a 75-year-old lady. She started off with a blood pressure of 200 over 100, and now she's down to 119 over 70. We have full-blown type 2 diabetics that are healing on full-blown fruit fasting. And so, yes, we want to eat as much raw fruit as possible, and then as many raw vegetables when you do the vegetables. But of course, again, people are going to cook. And if you do cook, you want to use little to no oils as much as possible. Learn how to water saute. And then you want to avoid white salt. And as you stated, white flour, which was made to stop diarrhea. That's what white flour was made for.
Mm.
White flour was made to induce constipation, to stop people who was having diarrhea. If they were having loose bowels, they would give them white flour, white bread to stop their bowel movements. So you never want to consume white flour, and then of course white sugar if you're going to do, when you decide to do your cooked plant-based.
So we talk about food, and last night we did a show where we talked about fasting. The importance of people that have fasted and have gotten miraculous results. And that I had said last night on the show, I saw firsthand the benefits of fasting. My wife was diagnosed with sarcoidosis about 17 years ago, and was given a bad diagnosis that she'd have to do steroids for the rest of her life and take medication and whatnot. And she basically started praying and did a 40-day water-only fast 17 years ago, and no sarcoidosis, gone. Doctors were amazed. So it kind of opened my eyes then to, in terms of health and healing some years ago. And even more so now, as I'm, really getting with this, if you will, because I've seen so many, have so many friends and people that I know that have checked out, from heart disease, diabetes, high blood pressure, just a number of things. And then on the flip side, the more I dig into this, and I've seen people who have healed themselves from heart disease, diabetes, high blood pressure. So it's something to this in terms of the things and the foods that we eat, and especially as Black people, the foods that we have historically eating over the years, fried foods, you go in our neighborhoods where we have food deserts. We don't have fresh fruits. We don't have fresh vegetables, but there's a fried chicken place on every corner. There's a fried fish place on every corner. There you have convenience stores or confectionaries, as we call them back then, that don't have anything in there that's really good for us. So having said that, what would you recommend for most people in terms of healing their bodies that are really inflamed? Is it more fruits or more vegetables, or just a combination of the two? And what foods should we be juicing?
Yeah, well, the optimal diet is in Genesis 1:29, the fruit with the seed in it. And then in Revelations 22, it states that the fruits of the trees will provide the healing for the nations. So me being a Bible-based ministry, that's what we practice, that the optimal way, the quickest way to heal your body is fruit fasting, grapes, citrus fruits, berries, and melons. So you have three classes of fruits. You have your astringent fruits, such as grapes, pears, apples. These are the sun fruits that grow up on a tree. Those fruits pull mucus and pus out of the body. The late great Dr. Sebi, of course, he said that excess mucus, was the main cause of all disease, and he famously went before the New York Supreme Court and proved that he was healing full-blown AIDS when they were trying to throw him in jail, and he brought his patients and he shut their butts down. He defended himself and won his own case, and he worked with a lot of famous people before he died. So your astringent fruits led by the grape, which is mentioned all throughout the scriptures, it pulls mucus and pus out of the body. Then you have your antioxidant fruits. Those are all your berries. Those work like a high-powered gun, and it kills off toxins in the cells. Then you have your melons, which are your hydrative fruits, which work as a high-pressured water hose to help clean the cells. So your astringent fruits, your antioxidant fruits, your hydrative fruits will provide an extraordinary amount of healing upon the body. That's what I've witnessed, Brother Mike, in the last year and a half. When I first became the minister of wellness, I used to teach what is called G-bombs: greens, beans, onions, mushrooms, berries, and seeds. So I would put people on a half raw, half cooked plant-based eating style consisting of smoothies, salads, soups, and steamed green vegetables. Now, I got a lot of healing testimonials from that, but now when I put sick people on fruits, on a strict fruit fast, the healing happens much quicker, much faster. It is extraordinary. As far as juicing is concerned, I say juice your fruit. I say eat the fruits, juice the fruits or the vegetables, and then take your herbs. For instance, when I get people with cancer, autoimmune disorders, I'll put them on a grape fast. Over 100 years ago, this is a book that was written over 100 years ago. A lady found out that even if you have people with advanced cancer, she put them on a grape fast. She wrote this over 100 years ago, was reaching out to doctors all over the world. And as you can imagine, Brother Mike, her information was shunned. So I put people on that. And then the juice that I tell them to get a juicer and a blender and a juicer is two different devices. The juicer pulls the water out of the fruit and vegetable. What I learned was that this really isn't the best hydration, especially for melanated people, for Black people. What I learned was that actually water, the best source of water, is actually taking it from the fruit and from the vegetable using a juicer. So most of the time, brother, I'm just doing this to sip on it towards the end of the night. But most of the time in my stainless steel container, this is juiced cucumbers and pears that I buy and chop up and put in the juicer. This is what I drink now almost 100% of the time. And it provides a much better hydration, and it'll get you away from all the toxic chemicals that they're putting in our water. So, and I would tell people with cancer or immune disorders to juice broccoli with berries, for instance. So your vegetables, because vegetables contain cellulose and insoluble fiber, it's very hard for our colon to break down vegetables. It takes 24 to 48 hours for vegetables to pass through the colon. Guess what, Brother Mike? It takes 30 minutes for fruits to pass through our colon. As soon as you eat the fruits, the fructose goes right into the cells for energy, and then the rest of the nutrients are broken down, quickly absorbed and utilized. Fruits are so powerful. When I did my first 2 weeks on fruits about a year and a half ago, Brother Mike, I found out that I had no more need for deodorant. I found out that plaque doesn't come on my teeth. I found out that even when bowel movements, all of those things change drastically because the fruits don't sit on the colon. It's quickly absorbed and utilized. So that's what I direct people towards, a fruit-based style of eating. And I have plenty of videos on my YouTube channel, The Minister of Wellness, free YouTube channel. I have 1.1 thousand videos. I have full seminars teaching people about why I made that transition to where now when people come to me for healing, I now put them on a strict fruit fast, and I've been seeing incredible results. As a matter of fact, there's quite a few people that are tuning in here with us. One is Sister Linda in the chat there, and her husband, he's 70 years old, and he has a new lease on life. And he reversed stage 4 kidney failure on a fruit fast. And I've had people come off being bedridden. Matter of fact, my administrative assistant, Brother Mike, she's 75 years old. And when she first came to me, she was crippled completely from rheumatoid arthritis that was giving her such severe pain she could hardly move. And I put her on a 40-day fruit fast, and now she's well enough to where she's my secretary.
Wow. Wow, that's unbelievable. So when you talk about the fruits and vegetables, how important is it that should those fruits and vegetables be organic, or does that really matter? Or?
Well, like you said, we have food deserts here in America. Now, it's not like that in Africa. But here in America, yes, we have bad food deserts. And so what I tell people, Brother Mike, is all about the intentions of the heart. Do the best you can. You know, my whole thing, especially with black folk, is we can be so hard-headed and rebellious. Now, you ate all that junk, all that fried chicken and barbecue ribs without question, and you really thought that Jesus was supposed to make your ribs and your hot dogs nutritious to your body. So why don't you have why all of a sudden when it comes to eating healthy, you have all these excuses about it's not organic, is this, is that, is that. No, just like you prayed over that rack of ribs, why don't you go ahead, do the best you can, and pray over your fruits and vegetables. Even if you have to go to the gas station and get bananas and apples, you do the best you can. And I believe, Brother Mike, that the Lord understands where we're at, that we're living in a very evil nation that poisons his own people for profit. That's the United States of America. They're killing us on purpose. And that's where we're at. But I believe that when we're doing our best, I believe that God will take some of the pesticides and chemicals off of the fruits and vegetables, because he's saying, you know what? This person is really doing their best to honor me with their temple. So again, I'm someone, again, being a minister, I so strongly believe in the power of the Lord, Brother Mike. I believe it when he says, I will not leave my people to perish in the midst of wickedness. That's what I believe. And I believe that about it. I believe that when we do the best we can, that's when the miracles start happening. And so that's my long response to that. My response is, if you can, the best thing is growing our own food. And over there in the motherland, most of them are still farmers, as we used to be, you know, especially like your grandparents. Our people used to farm. You know, so that's the best bet, is growing and being agriculture as we are supposed to be as a people. Now, if you can't do that, yes, organic, USD organic, supporting your local farmer. Because a lot of time, Brother Mike, they might be growing organic but can't afford the label. You know, but in the end, do the best you can. And I don't think it's pleasing to the Lord. I rebuke that spirit of hopelessness, brother. I had a sister that came on my live stream with uterine cancer talking about, yeah, but everything's tainted. And I'm like, so what are you saying, sister? You saying that I should just go back to eating Burger King? Is that what what are you promoting here? So we should just all throw in the towel and just die because everything's tainted. No, you're not gonna come on my platform. That's an evil spirit. That's a spirit of hopelessness. I said you weren't saying you weren't saying that, you know, about the foods that you were eating that gave you uterine cancer. So, you know, let's speak victoriously. Because after all, we sing that what a mighty God we serve. So do we really believe these things? That's why, Brother Mike, I've been every day doing this fruit fast. I've been reading the word. You know, again, I believe the Bible is the greatest health book in the world. And so I've been going through the book of Psalms, and it just amazes me as a pastor's kid, you know, all these scriptures, these cliche statements: the Lord is our buckler, our strength, our ever-present help, our healer, our redeemer. But then as soon as we get sick, all that goes out the window, you know, and the first thing we do is run to an industry that's symbolized by a pole with two snakes wrapped around. Now, I don't know what a pole with two snakes wrapped around it has to do with the Bible and Jesus and God. You know, but it's just amazing to me. And the pandemic showed it, you know, like we just say these things, but then when it's really time, when it's crunch time, you know, which you as, you know, former professional ball player, when it's crunch time, that's when, you know, that's when it's time for us to show that we really trust in the Lord. So we do the best we can to honor him, and he will reward us for our intentional effort, you know, to serve him.
When you talked about people that have experienced miraculous healing. What type of time frame was that in terms of, some of the cases that and the testimonials that you've heard? Was it a year, 6 months, 3 months, 2 weeks? And I'm sure it's probably different for everybody, but just kind of give us some idea in terms of what can people expect, because everybody's body is different in terms of how they react to things. But kind of touch on that a little bit if you don't mind.
The Bible, the biblical number is usually 40 days. That's a good number to start with. If you are very sick, that 40 days seems to never fail. That biblical 40 days and 40 nights, that's always a good number. Now, it might take longer, but usually, Brother Mike, if you do a 40-day fruit fast with your juicing and taking the proper supplements, because they depleted the soil on purpose, and we're not in the sun enough, especially as African people, we're supposed to be in the sun. That fuels, that vitamin D3 from God's sun fuels our melanin. That's what gives us a lot of regenerative power. But if you give it that 40 days, 40 nights, that's when you really start seeing some serious here. Like I said, our administrative assistant, Mama Mary Jones, she came off of being bedridden to being now my secretary in 40 days. So usually that's a good number. You can do a lot of healing in 40 days and 40 nights.
When you talked about the supplements, what type of supplements should we be taking that will aid in this healing that we need in our bodies and to go with the foods that we should be eating?
Yeah, here are the essential ones. The essential ones, you have vitamin D3. Now that comes from the sun. We're not out in the sun enough. If you go back in Bible days, remember God created Adam. He put him in a garden, the Garden of Eden, which, as much as they hate to admit it, Brother Mike, the archaeologists have shown that the Garden of Eden was located somewhere in East Africa around Kenya, Ethiopia. So Adam and Eve were put right there in the garden, right there outside. So we need vitamin D3. We're sitting in front of a computer. We're indoors all day. We're wearing full-blown clothes. Vitamin D3 is critical. If Black people had sufficient levels of vitamin D3, that would end most of the health disparities alone. Now, there's a nutrient that comes from the soil, Brother Mike, called vitamin K2 that helps absorb the D3. Now, K2, we used to eat, again, if you go back to the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve they didn't have sinks. They were planting the fruit, picking it right from the ground, and it probably had some little soil on it, and they was eating it. Well, that soil was giving them a lot of nourishment. It wasn't a lot of it, because they probably shook it off, but they put it right in their mouth. They was eating soil to mouth. By the time we get to our fruits and vegetables, that thing have been washed about 20 times. So, but that comes at a cost. So the K2 helps absorb D3. So D3, K2. Okay. Then we have vitamin B12. Now the flesh eaters, they'll say, oh, see, you need meat for B12, No, the devil is a lie. When God put Adam and Eve in the garden, he said he strictly put them on a plant-based eating style. And then it was after the flood when he allowed the consumption of meat. Why? Because that's what we wanted. Okay, then when we came out of the wilderness, what did God do? He put us right back on what? A strict plant base. He gave us manna from heaven, and it's proven that manna was actually coriander seed, which makes the herb coriander, which is one of the most powerful herbs for detoxing the blood. Did we appreciate that? No, we looked up just like now, and we said we want some fried chicken. And so God gave the quail, and then it killed every last one of, our ancestors in the wilderness. So going back to, I got off into that I forgot the point that I was making.
That's okay. No, I was asking about the particular herbs.
Yes. Yeah. And so vitamin B12 comes from the soil. Vitamin B12 originally, we got that from the soil. Okay, so we need to supplement with B12. Then we need to supplement with zinc. That's another one that comes not just from the soil, but also zinc is we have some of the seeds are high in zinc, but a lot of our fruits don't have the seed in it. So taking a little bit of zinc, and then there's a omega-3 and omega-6 essential fatty acids for the brain and cardiovascular health called DHA, EPA, docosahexaenoic acid, eicosapentaenoic acid. These are essential fatty acids for brain and cardiovascular health that traditionally come again from the seeds and then also from sea algae. So we take a little bit of that. So those are the 5 essential that we need due to the unnatural way, the uncivilized way that we're living in the Western world. Those are some of the essential supplements that we should take. And if I could mention, just in case for those, who are watching that are not already a part of my audience, this is the last weekend where I actually sell all of those supplements that I named in organic, high potent form. And to help kick off the so-called new year, I've been running a blowout sale, 50% off on everything on my online store. And this is the last weekend. So as of this broadcast, we have 48 hours. So I encourage everyone to go to theministerofwellness.com. And I have 100 different herbs and vitamins and minerals for people. And it's a blowout sale that I've been running since January the 1st.
Yeah. It was interesting when I heard you talk about the sun. The late Dick Gregory was a friend of mine, and we would talk often. And one of the things he told me, he was a big faster, remember back in the day you had, the Bohemian died, Dick Gregory died. But one of the things he told me when we started talking about longevity in life and the things that we need in order to survive on this earth, he said the sun was one of the number one things that we need, and we don't get enough sun, and we need to be out in the sun at least 30 minutes a day, to be able to absorb the sun. And then something else I had also found out about, and I don't know if you're really familiar with this as well, is grounding. I don't know if you're familiar with grounding, basically where you go flat barefooted and you put your feet in the grass for about a half hour, and then it actually pulls the inflammation out of your body. I've seen some documentaries on that, and actually the gentleman that I want to say invented grounding, because grounding is always there. Maybe it's discovered grounding. He's got several documentaries out there, and people that have had serious inflammation in their body, how they've eliminated inflammation just by doing that. So there are a lot of things that I can say God put on this earth for us to be able to heal ourselves and our bodies. But yet, one of the reasons, and I'm sure you're aware of this too, and you can touch on it as well, is that there's no money from the pharmaceutical companies and the things that you're talking about, fruits, vegetables, herbs, and people remain sick for years. You go to the doctor and they give you one pill, and then you get another pill to combat the effects from that first pill, and then you get the third pill to combat the effects from the second pill, and it's like a domino effect. I know a lady that had been taking 19 different medications.
Wow.
And was able to get off of that. There's a doctor also in Houston, Texas, named Baxter Montgomery. I don't know if
I've met him in person.
Yeah. Yep. And he that's how he treats his patients with plant-based diet. He even has a plant-based cafeteria in his, I don't know if it's his office or basically wherever he works at, that he put in, and they're listening to some of the stories and the testimonies. It's remarkable. So this is something that's just totally intrigues me, because these things are right in front of us. But when you look at the commercials on TV, if I see one more bag boys, what are you gonna do? One more commercial about a hamburger or Arby's or we have the meats. I mean, they
Yeah.
bombard us.
Yes.
Yes. And I mean, they even have food artists. So when they put this thing on
Yeah.
there, they make it look as
Yes.
appealing as they can.
Yeah.
You know, they're not even using mayonnaise. It's I think it's whipped cream, something like that, but they make it look as
Yeah.
as healthy as possible. And then one of the things too that I found is that sugar, in terms of how they hide sugar, because you can call sugar sugar and say something is sugar free, but when you look on the ingredients that you see sucrose, fructose, anything in that OSC is a sweetener, but technically it's not sugar.
Yeah.
So you can advertise that thing as being sugar free when in essence it is sweets. Uh, when you talk about some of the testimonials of people that you have personally, I want to say witnessed, but you've been able to guide people through. You talked about some diabetic people, high blood pressure. What have been some of the most amazing testimonials that you've heard?
Yeah, well, the most amazing is, and I have a group of playlists on my YouTube channel called Health Success Stories. But outside of Mama Jones, but recently again, Brother Daniel, who his wife is tuning in, and seeing him come from the kidney failure. But then when I was preaching last March, I was preaching at Union Temple Baptist Church in Washington, D.C. I did an event with the former boxing promoter, Rock Newman. And a brother came up to me after I preached, and he said he drove from New York City just to tell me that he ate nothing but red fruits for 2 weeks and got off dialysis. And so that was an incredible testimonial. I've also had mothers who in the past have emailed me and told me how they were able to reverse autism in their children, in their small children. Those are, most of our people, they will not come and share publicly the healing that is taking place. But I remember receiving those type of email. I remember I helped a brother lose 200 pounds in 2 months.
In how many months?
No, it was, I'm sorry. It was 4 months.
That's still, wow.
It is. That's an extraordinary amount. So yes, but speaking on what you was talking about earlier, somebody put in the comment section about food porn. That's what we're living in, a society of food porn. And since I know you used to play for the Cardinals, I just keep thinking about how professional sports fuels this toxic way of eating, and how it's really destroying these athletes. I don't know if you've noticed, brother, how sick athletes are now. You have so many baseball players, basketball players, and these are supposed to be high level athletes getting cancer. In their 20s. It's sad. You look at the food culture of what do they do? You go to the game and you get a hot dog for $20 and a soda.
Mm-hmm.
You will face a lot of resistance, trying to preach this message in professional sports. Tom Brady, who extended his career by going mostly plant-based, he would eat all plants and he eliminated all sorts of animal flesh except fish, because people have a mental blockage when it comes to fish. They want to believe that fish is healthy. When it's not. It's one of the most toxic things you can eat because of the water pollution. But Tom Brady, one time, brother, he came out and spoke out against cold cereal. The cold cereal, he was like, Frosted Flakes in these cereals, this is trash. This is sugary garbage. Brother, they came down so hard on him. They came down so hard on Tom Brady, he never spoke out again about it. So it's a monster. It's a multi-billion. And you know what's so sad is that you know how when it's bad, you know that a nation is at the end when it wants to rule, but it is so evil that it starts to self-destruct, because that's what God allows. Rome self-destructed. Lead poisoning their own civilization. the Greek civilization, it was just so sexually perverse, they self-destructed. And now here we have in America, brother, where the obesity, you have generals over the United States Marines, which I served, the Army, the Navy, generals are saying, we can't find people to fill the ranks. Our children are fat. They're too fat. They can't pass the physical. And then there is so much mental illness. Like, we're having a difficult time finding 18, 19-year-olds to sign up for the service because they can't even, their physical and mental conditioning is so destroyed. So you would think, brother, that a nation like America, an arrogant nation that wants to control the world and tell everybody else what to do and how to do it, you would think that America would pass a law saying that, listen, we got to stop this. We have to make a change because we're not even going to be able to defend ourselves. But it's like, brother, the ball has been rolling downhill so fast for so long that they sitting back just watching. You're poisoning your future defenders of your country. Isn't that crazy? And then at the height of the pandemic, when we knew that it's a weakened immune system killing people from coronavirus. How do you get a weakened immune system? Obesity, high blood pressure, stroke, diabetes. So pretty much we're talking about a pandemic that's killing people that are sick from preventable diseases. You would think, instead of shutting down and destroying millions of your own citizens' lives, that you would have made and said, listen, for the next 40 days until we get past this pandemic, it is illegal for anyone to sell anything that is going to harm people's immune system. Did they do that? No, we all know what they push. So it's like the nation is self-destructing. It's a ball. It's controlled. The industries that are killing us, that's killing America, they control to the point to where the people that know that the killing is being done, they're powerless to stop it. And Michelle Obama is a perfect example of that. She tried to speak out. She started a campaign against obesity in children. And at first she was focusing on exercise, Brother Mike, but then Michelle Obama realized, she knew the truth. She said, it's the food killing them. It's this food making these kids fat like this. So guess what? She started attacking the food industry. How long do you think that lasted? And then I'll never forget. And then I watched a documentary about fast food nation, and it was talking about the obesity in America. And guess who was featured on there? Bill Clinton, as a full-blown vegan now. Now, where was you at in office in the 90s? Why weren't you talking about this then instead of doing all that other mess you was doing? Why now all of a sudden, now since you out of office, now you can, I mean, it's just so, it's, America has been sabotaged and is self-destructing. And the ball is rolling so long, so fast, brother, that it's just completely out of control. It's a shipwreck. It's an unstoppable shipwreck. It's like a ship that's headed towards, there's an island in the middle of the ocean, and the ship is about to crash. And it's like the captain knows that it's about to crash and kill everybody on the ship, but he's powerless to stop it.
When you said that, I thought about, it's probably been a few years back, but I don't know if you remember, but Oprah Winfrey came out and made a statement against the beef industry.
Yep.
And now, as powerful as she was, with her viewership, listenership, the money that she had, they shut her down.
Yes.
And, they came out with full guns because, one, they knew the influence that she had. And for her to go on, anything that she would touch would become viral or people become millionaires just based on whatever it is that she was endorsing. So by the same token, if you're selling something I don't like, I can affect your sales as well. So when she came out against them and said, I'm never going to eat beef again after I've seen this, and this, man, they came at her with a lawsuit. And after that lawsuit, you never heard her say one other word ever again about meat and this type of thing. So yes, there is, you're fighting an uphill battle because, people that control the media, the narrative. You look at TV every day, you see commercials on there for medications. And my wife and I, one day, we were just counting. When they start talking, they'll start talking real fast. If you take this medication, you can have high blood pressure. You can have, we counted 38
wow.
different effects from taking, I can't remember what this drug was. 38 of them, and they were talking so fast. Well, we were just, you have like, you hear that? 38 different ones. If you take this, you can get high blood pressure, you can get stroke, you get say, my goodness. So the devil is always in the details, as they say. And listening to that, that's like, man, most people, but even they dress that up to make it look so good. So it's there's a lot that we can do as people to combat all these illnesses and to do a lot of things. Now, when you talked about, I want to go back to the grapes. When you talked about the grapes, is there a certain type of grapes? Because you got green grapes, red grapes, black grapes. Is there a certain type of grape? As long as it has seeds, or?
The best grape is the grapes with the seeds in it. But in America, the only grapes with seeds, unless you grow your own, and you can grow your own grape trees, will be those red globe grapes with the seed in it. But a lot of us don't even have those. And so if you get organic grape, any of them are fine as long as it's not those candy grapes. Because now they manipulate, they just can't keep their hands out of God's nature. They just can't leave his nature alone. So as long as it's organic and it's not those candy grapes, you can't go wrong. Of course, the darker a fruit is, the more colorful it is, the better it is. So that's what I would say about that. But the best bet is to find them with the seeds in it, which is very difficult to find here in this nation, which is intentional because they know how powerful grapes are.
So even when you have grapes that have seeds that have been genetically modified, would you recommend those as well?
Not if they modified in a laboratory, but I don't know of any right now. They still grown, naturally from the soil. But yeah, anything that's in a lab where they're modifying it so where they can spray unlimited amounts of glyphosate on it, that's the GMO, where they insert a gene into the fruit or vegetable so that they can spray their poisons on it and it doesn't die, which is satanic. And by the way, that wicked industry is based right there in our hometown. And so, you want to avoid that at all costs. And that's why USDA organic or a local farmer or growing your own food is the best bet. But they're not doing that with grapes. It's a few fruits and vegetables that they're doing that with. And by the way, the one who stopped GMO from having a direct label on it was Barack Obama. He's the one that signed the Dark Act after he lied and said he wouldn't do that. So they're all controlled by the food industry, the chemical industry. But what's most frustrating to me, brother, as a preacher, is that the Bible already tells us what to do. A pastor just reached out to me saying he on dialysis and saying, why is it that everybody else is saying I can't heal from it? I said, Pastor, because they don't believe in the Lord's way. I said, Satan's way can't heal you. Only the Lord can heal the body. I said, they're supposed to say that. I said, why do we as believers keep going to Satan expecting to get some type of good result? I said, doggone it. I said, the devil they put a pole with two snakes wrapped around it. You still go in there thinking you're gonna find something holy. It just boggles my mind. I said, God has his way, Satan has his way. I said, a lot of pastors, you're going to have blood on your hands because you led your sheep to the slaughter. And so I'm praying that, people. So yeah, the Bible already tells us this, brother. The Bible said 2,000 years ago. Do you know in the book of Galatians chapter 5, when Paul lists the works of the flesh that will keep us out of the kingdom of God, one of the works of the flesh is witchcraft. Do you know that word witchcraft is really the word pharmacy? That word in the Galatians chapter 5, verse 19, the works of the flesh, uncleanness, which people don't want to talk about that. How do we make ourselves unclean? Adultery, fornication, lasciviousness, hatred, murders, witchcraft. Oh, that's casting spell. No, that's the Greek word pharmakia, which we get our word pharmacy. That word witchcraft in Galatians 5:19, a work of the flesh, is using drugs to poison people. Right there in the Bible. How do we miss that? It says at the end in book of Revelations chapter 21:18, the whole nation would be deceived by sorcery. That word sorcery is pharmakia of pharmacy. I mean, this should be a battling cry in the church. What's wrong? I mean, what happened? Well, somewhere down the line, fake leaders came in there and started changing some of the laws of God that minimized the importance of food because they wanted to eat what they wanted to eat. I never forget my father. He would go out of his way to eat a ham sandwich with 20 slices of ham on it in front of my Muslim cousin to make fun of him and see, I'm free in Jesus. And I mean, that was like a serious argument that I would have. But I remember seeing my dad at the end of his life, the night before he died. It wasn't funny then, Brother Mike. It wasn't funny then. This is a serious matter. And this is a serious crime violation that we're committing against the Most. How would we look how we used to get it, Brother Mike, when we wouldn't eat the junk that our parents provided for us? We would get our butts beat. You gonna eat that food? I worked hard and I sat here and provided it for. Boy, you better shut up and eat that. You ain't gonna get up until you eat all that food. And that was most likely unhealthy food. So if we get upset over our children not eating what we work hard for them, how do we think the Heavenly Father feels when we just wholesale? I don't want to eat that. I don't want no fruit. Man, what else? Man, give me that burger. How do you think that makes him feel that he went out of his way to give us everything we need in nature and we just disrespect him? Eat what we want to eat. Then make it worse, Brother Mike. Then we get sick. God is like, okay, you did wrong. Now let's go ahead and repent. I got a way for you to heal. I can get you out of just go ahead and repent. I got a way. And we still say nope. And we run right there to the devil to get witchcraft and sorcery. And we wonder why, when the pandemic came, all the churches, even the holy one, even the holiness ones, had to shut down. Then the pastors that did say, mostly it was the white conservative pastors that had the courage to say, no, we're staying open in Jesus' name. Then 3 days later, they would be dead. Because it's one thing, again, you can say that, but did you teach your congregation how to eat the foods of Jesus as Father? No, you didn't. So again, faith without works is dead. So it's a mess. It's a big fat mess. And I'm doing my part, my brother, to try to correct that mess from a spiritual perspective as a minister, that God gave us these answers thousands of years ago.
I had a question came up on the chat. Actually, it's from a family member. It says that they are taking immunotherapy and wanted to know exactly, what should they, what type of foods or herbs or whatever could they do in order to be able to stop having to take immunotherapy.
Yeah, that means your immune system is weak. So I would put them on the fruit fast: grapes, citrus, fruits, berries, and melons. That means you eliminate everything else, go on a fruit fast, get you a juicer, and go ahead and you can juice broccoli and berries. You can juice pineapples, fruit. You can juice whatever fruits you want. It's delicious. And go on a fruit fast and get the essentials. Again, I have a blowout sale running on my online store, theministerofwellness.com, theministerofwellness.com, SOAR, SOAR in 24. That's our theme for this year. When you heard me preach last year, brother, it was disease free in 23. My theme for this year is SOAR in 24. So you go to my website, the coupon is right there. Get the D3, the K2, the B12, the zinc, and then I have a very powerful immune support herbal extract. And her, along with everybody, tune in. Go to my YouTube channel, The Minister of Wellness. I have 1,000 free videos. We're fruit fasting the rest of this month. Tomorrow I'll be on at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I do Bible study every day, Brother Mike. Every single day I do Bible study where I dive into the Word of God and I say, what can we pull from the scriptures that will help us eat better? That's what my mission is. Because we never been taught these things in the church. But let's read the Word, and you'll be amazed when you look into the Word of God with that lens, brother. Let me tell you, every time I open up the Word, a different health message pops up. So that's what I would recommend. Go and subscribe to the Minister of Wellness YouTube channel and join us the rest of this month. We have 12 days left on the fruit fast. And this is the person, what's the best way to get rid of mucus? Well, the grape, the apples, the pears, the peaches, the astringent fruits, Sister Deborah, they pull mucus and pus out of the body. So the best way is to stop eating mucus formers and then to start eating, the fruits that pull mucus and pus, out of the body. So those are that's the way to get those done.
When you talked about the different fruits and I guess the sweetness that are in the fruits, talk about, I guess, that type of sugar versus a white sugar, because some might say, well, this is still sugar because it's in the fruit. And could you speak on that?
Yeah, wrong. Absolutely not. No, God's natural sugar for us is much, much different. Fructose in the fruit comes wrapped with fiber and nutrients. Okay, so it's not an isolated sugar like pulling the white sugar from. That's the problem with the white sugar. You're pulling it away from the original source that God put it in. But as long as you're consuming it within the package that God put it in, is perfectly healthy. As a matter of fact, fructose and sugar is so medicinal, brother. When you eat an apple, that sugar doesn't go in your blood and cause the pancreas to have to work to excrete insulin to remove it from the blood. No. Fruit sugar, fructose, goes from your mouth, is broken down and goes right into your cells. So you know what happens, Brother Mike? In 2 weeks, we have a full-blown diabetic with an A1C of 11. A1C shouldn't be over 6. Her A1C is now almost normal. In just a few weeks on fruit, strictly fruits. I had a type 1 diabetic, Brother Mike, on fruits. He called me. He booked a consultation because I do one-on-one consultations, by the way. theministerofwellness.com, theministerofwellness.com. You want to get them in because in 24 days, I'm headed back to East Africa and our people out there put me to work. But he called me. He booked a consultation and he said, Minister, my sugar is too low. This is on fruits. He said, my sugar is too low. And I said, brother, praise the Lord. That means you're healed from type 1 diabetes. You don't need insulin no more. As a type 1 diabetic, because the fruit sugar doesn't need insulin. It goes right to the cells. So our type 1 diabetics, within a few days on fruits, they're able to completely stop taking insulin. And my type 2 diabetics heal quicker on fruits than they did when I was teaching them greens, beans, onions, mushrooms, berries, and seeds.
Well, when we talk about toxins, and I guess some of the best ways to eliminate toxins in our body, is through proper diet. But from a dehydration standpoint, is there a certain amount of liquids You always heard people talking about, well, you need to drink 8 glasses of water a
Yeah.
day. Again,
Yeah.
the water has a lot of fluoride in it and a lot of chemicals. So should you be juicing eight glasses of juice a day, or eating particular vegetables that, like watermelon, I guess, that's rich in, in water. So what would an average day, what does an average day should look like for a person, one that's not going to drink water, it's not going to eat meat, but in order to get their proper dehydration?
Yeah, when you're on fruits and vegetables, raw fruits and vegetables, has a lot of water, especially fruit. And so this is a half a gallon. It takes me a couple of days to go through this. Yeah, it'll take me 2 to 3. And I lift weights 6 days a week, and I jog long distance. So no, most of it's going to come from the fruit. This is the best source of water. Your best source of water is from the fruit of the vegetable. You do need 8 glasses of this if you're on meat and high salt, because it induces thirst, because it saps water out of the cells. That's get a juicer, and you'll just go by according to your natural thirst. So that rule completely changes when you're especially on raw fruits. Then also, just to make a correction, somebody is in the chat. Just to make a correction, brother Mike Pittman played in the MLB. He was a professional baseball player, not in the NFL. Mm-hmm. So that's why he sound, because they're not used to athletes sounding so intelligent in the NFL. But no, that's because brother Mike was he was a professional baseball.
and there is a Mike Pittman that did play with the Cardinals, Phoenix Cardinals, for football. So
okay.
So there is a Mike Pittman. So that's probably
okay. That's why people are confused. Okay.
Yeah. Few more questions. One big thing now that seems to have, I guess, taken the nation by storm, but seems to be very prevalent. A lot of people are using it. As a matter of fact, I even saw it on Shark Tank. It was a brother had on Shark Tank. It's sea moss. Can you talk about, maybe, are there any benefits in sea moss in terms of individuals taking that? And if it is, you kind of describe that to us.
Well, yes, it's benefits. And of course, to put it out there, that's one of the things that I do sell. I do have my own Irish sea moss. It has the highest amount of minerals in the world. Irish sea moss. It's an ancient sea vegetable that's been used for many years. The benefits of Irish sea moss are well documented and are numerous, spanning upwards of 100 different diseases. You have to consider the source. And yes, this is where, an advertisement is going to come in, because your sea moss has to be radiation free. That's hard to find. Your sea moss needs to be organic. That's hard to find. And you need to make sure that it doesn't contain any nuclear waste. Those 3 things are hard to find. I have that source. My sea moss is USDA organic, and all you need is a teaspoon of it, and you'll feel the potency of it. So yes, I am a believer in sea moss, so sea vegetables being used for thousands of years.
I know Dr. Sebi was real keen on sea moss. And another thing that he talked about, I've heard him speak several times, was about the effect of mucus. That mucus causes a lot of inflammation in the body. I seen one of the cousins on here had that question about mucus. I'm going to switch gears. I'm just got a few more questions. I know we've been on quite a while now, and I appreciate you taking the time.
Yes, sir.
But you said that you're going to be going to Africa.
Yes.
And you're going to be over there quite a while. Tell us about the difference between the African people in terms of how they view health and the things that you're talking about versus how it's received here in the United. Well, I guess we know how it's received here in the United States. Tell us about how it's received in Africa and the message that you have.
Africa is the version of Black America that your parents and grandparents was raised in, Brother Mike. So you'd have to go back before civil rights era, where we were segregated, and we still had very strong 2-parent homes. There was no hip hop culture. This is before the war on drugs, before hip hop, the war on drugs, the welfare state, before the civil rights movement. That version of Black America, that's the version that they're still at right now. So you see very low divorce rates, and you see a people where they're still agricultural. Again, your parents and grandparents' version of Black America, where most of us still had at least a garden and were outdoors eating very little meat, if any. That's that version that's still there. So that creates a significant difference, Brother Mike. So when they hear, and then it's Africa, so it's all Black. As I was telling you earlier, they are your complexion or darker. So I'm the one that stand out. I'm the minority when I go among our people, and that it's amazing, man. Like I go there, like, oh man, I wish I was darker because it's just beautiful to see that. And so the difference is when I tell them to eat fruits and that they're eating too much meat and that they need to eliminate meat because they're not so disconnected from that way, their response is, okay, we know what he's saying is right because my grandma lived to be 200 years old. That's what one of them told me. So and then they're all farmers. So their response is, okay, we know what he says. See, they're just now getting fast food. It's just now coming. It hasn't been. So they're like, okay, we know what he's saying is right. Here, our people here, they like, man, this Negro lost his mind. Like he extreme. We generations removed. They still in it. They're in their transition that we went through, and I'm trying to stop it. So they can receive it better. Then even just my style of delivery, which you've heard, my style of delivery here, it can be rough on the ears of our people here because of a lot of our people here. We grow up without fathers. There's not a lot of strong Black men in the homes anymore. In Africa, again, in many places over there, Brother Mike, they still have like a 2% divorce rate. So having a strong masculine man, to them that's not intimidating. So it's incredible. And then even if you talk about the other morals, over there, you can give like an old school, old fashioned, them words that you can't say no more when you speaking about, the alphabet community. Over there, you can be completely unfiltered on that because, they presidents over there, they presidents are saying you practice those type of things, we'll stone you. So they still, their morals, their moral value system, they haven't undergone the change that we have went through. And so, yes, over there, I'm preaching at, when I get back over there, I'm scheduled to preach at a major university, crusades with thousands of people and mega church bishops and pastors. And, it's like, no, we want this information because we don't want to end up like you all. We see how bad it is and we don't want it coming here. We don't want the moral filth or the diseases. And so they like, come on, we can preach every day if you want to over here in Africa, minister. So I actually have a new book just for Africa. I have 4 books. Again, everything's half off for this weekend, but I'm the author of 4 books. My 5th book I made just for the motherland. It's actually getting published and printed in Kenya as we speak. And so I'm very excited to go back over there. And that's the difference here. I have mega church pastors who know who I am, but I've been blacklisted for the most part from the Black church here. And then, unfortunately, a lot of the Christian conservatives here in this country, a lot of them, they're too steeped in racism. Whereas over there, everything's Black, so that's not an issue over there in the motherland because all the churches are all Black. Everything's Black, so ain't no Black church, white church, everything Black. There ain't no Black business, white. Everything Black. It's Black. Everything's Black. So they're not looking over their shoulder, or out there. It's different. They're still connected to their land and their heritage for the most part. And so that's why over there, I have to say no. Like, listen, I need to rest my voice here in America. I'm just, like you said, you text me and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm good, brother. I'm ready. I'm still in America. So yeah, brother, shoot, I can give you 2-3 hours here. But once I get to the motherland, yeah, I have to put myself on the leash because they like, nah, man, we want this knowledge. Because so that's the difference.
So you'll be in Kenya, right? Is where you'll be in Africa and Kenya.
I'll be based in Kenya, but I'm going to Uganda. I'll be in Tanzania. I'll be in Angola. I'll be all over. But yes, I'm primarily based in Kenya. I've made that kind of my base in Africa, but I'll be all over traveling and preaching.
But you said you'll be there for a couple of months, did you say?
I will. I'll be there. I leave February 11th, and I won't be back till the end of May, because at the end of May, I've been invited to be one of the keynote speakers at a Pan-African conference where they'll be bringing in African leaders and presidents from all over the world. And they're coming to Kenya to meet about the state of African people. And I've been invited to speak. So I definitely can't miss that out. So yes, I'll be gone for almost 4 months.
So what will your diet consist of in Africa? The same thing, probably better fruits and vegetables.
Oh, they are way better. Oh yeah, all these discussions we having, brother Mike, about fruit with seed and GM. No, again, they're just now trying to force that there. That's why I'm there to stop that. So they haven't undergone. It's beautiful, brother Mike. I mean, it's like going back in it's like going in a time machine and going back to Black America, 1940s. When you still had to wear a suit to go to a baseball game. It's like they haven't undergone that. It's like they're just now being introduced to GMO. Just now being introduced. So yeah, even the regular food there, your bowels move a lot better. Yeah, your bowel, because everything is still natural. It's still real food. So yeah, so here I've been fruit fasting. My goal is to get back down to the weight where you first met me at. I was a lean 183. And so I'm been fruit fasting for 20 days. So stay very strict here. But then once I get to the motherland, oh yeah, it's easy to maintain there. All the fruits have seed. Almost all of them are farmers, even if they poor. Just like, again, Black America, 1930s. My mother was poor in Mississippi, but they had a garden. And so that's how it is in the mother. It's fruit everywhere. It's fruit everywhere. They have no excuses. So yes, when I get to the motherland, it's easy and it's hot. And so it's very easy to get on the maintenance plan. Even if I have cooked food, remember, most of them are still cooks out there. Even if they 10 years old, 12 years old, they raise their girls to cook. So all of them are excellent cooks, and their traditional Kenyan food is very, very healthy.
So rice is something that we shouldn't be eating as well, because it's actually grown. But what's your feeling on rice?
Yeah, I mean, my opinion is that if you can stay away from the white rice, yes. Yeah, that would be my opinion, to stay away from the white rice. However, you can overpower the white rice if mostly everything else you're eating, is vegetables. It can overpower the detrimental effects of the white rice. But if possible, do the colored rice. Now, the rice here is polluted with arsenic, so I don't recommend rice in America. But over there, in East Africa and India, they do a lot of rice. But to go for the brown or the wild rice when you get a good source, I would stay away though from the white rice. But again, if in Asia and even in East Africa, a lot of them have lived very long lives doing a lot of white rice. The white rice is still low in calories, and then they've overpowered it with topping it with all the vegetables and the beans and so forth.
When I think about Asians, and not in general, but I very seldom do you see really a lot of overweight Asians unless they've been to America and become Americanized outside of being, I guess, sumo wrestlers or whatever. Yeah. But my chiropractor told me, I think he's does acupuncture, and every year he goes to China to study. And when he told me, he said, Mike, in China, he said most people walk everywhere. He said there's a fruit stand and vegetable stand, at least 2 or 3 on every corner.
Yeah.
And he said everybody that I saw, he said he saw very few, overweight Asians while he was in China. It was only when they came to America that they became Americanized and started eating, American diets, that they started, suffering, through their different ailments or whatever. Is there anything else, Minister, that we didn't talk about that you would like to bring up, or talk more about your books or anything?
No, it was an honor, my brother. I'm glad I heard from you, and we still got to. You could be the first and maybe the only one, because I'm gonna be over in Africa a lot this year, because I'm also supporting orphanages in a major way. But we still got to talk about that big health fair in Springfield, Illinois, and maybe you will be the only one. That would make you possibly the only American event that I would do. So keep that in mind.
Sure.
And let me know, because I'll be back for the summer, brother. But then I do at the end of the year, I plan on going right back out there. Hey, what I tell people, for those that are new, YouTube, the Minister of Wellness, is where you can find me. 1,000 free videos. Finish off the rest of the fruit fast with us. And I challenge you to join me for my Bible studies every day at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let's dive in the Word. I guarantee you've never heard a perspective from the perspective that I preach the Word. The Bible is a health book. And then I'm on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, the Minister of Wellness Ministries. You can find me anywhere. And then as far as my products, it's too many to name. Yes, I have 4 books. I have 8 DVDs. I have herbal extracts for everything. This is the last weekend. Everything is 50% off. Soar in 24. So go there and take your time. Shop for what you need. The coupon code is right there when you can add it to the cart. It'll take half off everything. It will end Sunday night. TheMinisterofWellness.com, TheMinisterofWellness.com. And then there you can book coaching with me. You can join my email list, my newsletter, because they always watching me, because I'm the only preacher of my kind. So they always watching me. And by the way, that sermon that I preached at Bishop Franklin's Church is still up on the main page on my YouTube channel, because it was such a great long message. I haven't found one to replace it. So I had to cut out the parts when I talked about the jab, but it's still up there, on my YouTube channel. So that's my message, family. Let's soar in 24. That's our thing. Our health will soar in 24. So let's soar in 24 so we can thrive in 25.
Yeah. Somebody sent a question in. They wanted to know, what is it should I do about that they're anemic, what they can do about anemia. And I think there was also another question about organic agave. Is that okay to use in their tea?
With anemia, I have a video on sickle cell anemia or anemic period, low blood iron. However, one of my seaweeds that I sell is called the dulse seaweed. And the dulse seaweed on my website, theministerofwellness.com, I think I'm able, but the minister of, at theministerofwellness.com, my dulse seaweed will immediately boost that iron level up instantly. So you just take a teaspoon of my dulse seaweed, it's half off until Sunday night, and you take that, and after a few days, it'll reverse the low blood iron. And then as far as the agave, I can't condone any types of sugar outside of the fruit sugar. That can become really addictive. And I know, again, from me being coming off of vegan junk food and getting my weight back down, as I congratulate you for doing, brother, that syrup can become very addicting. When we remove that sugar from that fruit and from that fiber, it becomes a drug.
Well, there you have it, folks. The Minister of Wellness, and we appreciate him coming on the show tonight. You can watch this show on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, the Real Mike Pittman, YouTube at the Real Mike Pittman Podcast. And we urge you all to tell others about the show, tell others about the Minister of Wellness. I've been doing this podcast now probably almost 2 months, about 7 weeks. And, I try to get stuff and try to talk to people that are going to enlighten us as a people, that's going to help us to move forward, and help our communities as it relates to economic development, health, and wealth. So these are items that are dear to me, and I really try to focus on that and stay away from the foolishness that and I call it foolishness. Unfortunately, it seems like our people, we thrive on drama. We want to know what Cat Williams said or what. It's just not just to each his own. So maybe I shouldn't criticize that, but I just don't see how that moves us forward as a people. And I said it, and I'm gonna stand on it. I'm not gonna take it back. So
I agree.
So yes, thank you for coming on, and good luck over in Africa. You say you're leaving when?
February the 11th. I fly out, brother.
February 11th. Yeah. My goal is one day is to go to Africa. I'd always heard, from what you see on TV, you see, little kids that they malnourished and this and this, but it is a lot, that a lot of greatness stuff going on in Africa. And one day I do hope to be able to visit Africa. Who knows, I might live there one day. So I don't know. So, but anyway, Minister, thank you for coming on. If you can just stay on just a few more seconds afterwards,
yep.
And we can wrap up outside of the recording. Listeners, thank you all for joining tonight, the Real Mike Pittman Podcast. We try to do a show every couple of days. We come up with a topic that we feel that's important. Either I'll just talk about it, or I'll try to find somebody that's pretty well versed in and talk about it. So I believe we did that tonight. So thank you all for coming on board and watching us, the Real Mike Pittman, tonight. Thank you.